Hey there, what's going on? I'm Tim Martin, and this is Real Website Hints. This is a web design tutorial all about this awesome band page that I made, and I want to show you guys how I did it so you can maybe use some of these design ideas in your next website. So the first thing that I put into this web page was this full height header area here. So we got this entire background image filling up the whole screen with one clear message about what our website's all about. Then as you scroll down, we've got some media files here. So we've got some audio clips that your viewers can play with. As we scroll down a little bit farther, we've got this video background section where we've got a countdown timer. I'll show you how I built that section. And then down here near the very bottom, I've got this bio section where I've put the bio text above the images of the different people. So a lot of fun things we're gonna learn. And I also offer this as a free template that you can download from my website. So I'll link to that down below. So if you're excited about this and you want to learn how I made this website and maybe incorporate some of these things in your website, let's go ahead and do it. Okay, so this tutorial assumes that you already have your website set up, that you got WordPress installed, and I'm using the Divi theme. Now, if you don't have those things set up yet, I've got a free tutorial series where I'll walk you through exactly how I did that, and I'll link to it right up here. It's a really easy to follow tutorial series because it's my mission to help people find the best and easiest ways of building websites. So I'll show you guys step by step exactly how to get your website set up so you can start building a page just like this. Now, one other thing is that I use the Divi theme for almost all of my tutorials because I definitely believe that the Divi theme is one of the easiest ways to build a great looking website. So if you don't have the Divi theme yet, go ahead and check out my affiliate link down below. It'll connect you up with the Divi theme, and if you decide to buy it, it provides me with a small commission, which I use to make tutorials like this and then to provide free Divi website templates on my website. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you guys exactly how I built this website. Let's do it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we need to do is go over the dashboard and create a new page. You go to Pages, Add New. So now I already know that I want this page to not have a menu at the top of it. So in order to accomplish that, we need to use the blank setting. So go over here to Page Attributes and then Template right here. And then we're going to select Blank Page. That's going to take the menu away from the page so that we won't have that on this page. And then let's give this page a title. All right, and then let's go ahead and use the Divi Builder. Click on Use Builder. And so the very first thing, we already have a section set up here. And what I like to do when I have a section, especially if I already know what the background is going to be, or at least what the color is going to be, so I just go ahead and put that background in. So as I'm designing that section, I can see whether the text and the elements are working and whether they're visible or not. So let's go ahead and add in that first background image. Okay, so I'm going to go to the section settings here, this gear icon with the blue bar around it. The blue is the sections, the green is the rows, and the gray are the modules. Go ahead and add a background in. Now I've already added in the images for this and I've already optimized them. It's really important when you're building your website to have optimized images. So I've got a little video on how I optimize my images. You just want to make sure that the images are the right size for your website and that they've been compressed down as much as possible so they load as quickly as possible. And that's kind of one of the main things that's going to help your site load faster, is making sure that the images are optimized properly. Okay, so we're going to click on the little picture icon here and then the plus icon. I'm using this sort of dark gray intersection as the background. I'm gonna upload image. You can see some of the text here is a little bit crazy. That's because on this site here, I already know that I want to use the rock salt font as the main header font. So I've already changed a lot of the settings in Divi to sort of match the things I already know I want for this site. So I changed the header font to rock salt because I know I want to use that. And then I've also changed some of the colors and the color palette so they'll automatically load for me. And that's something that I talk about in my full tutorial on how to make a website and how to get started with Divi, is how to sort of set things up so it helps you build your pages faster. If you already have your color palette, and I have a video on how to make a color palette, I'll link to that at the top of the screen. And so using Divi and setting it up ahead of time, if you already know what your colors are and you know what the fonts you want, can really be a time saver in building your website. Okay, there we go. So first row here, I'm just going to use a single column, and we're going to use an image, and that image is going to be the logo for our band. There it is right there. And then we just want to make sure that it's centered. So we've got the image alignment here, just click on centered. There we go. And then down below that, we're going to add a button, which is basically just going to link down below farther on our website, but it's just we're going to encourage people to link down because we'll make this top section here, a full height section. I'm going to show you how to do that. All right, so let's just throw in a button here real quick. And as you can see here, the button color, I've changed the default color to show up as this red, which is the same red here that's as part of the logo. And in this case, I don't want it to be red, I want it to be white, but it's kind of nice to have it automatically default to a color that you might want to use. Change the alignment here to center, change the text color to light, and then for this button here, I'm going to use custom styles. So you click on button and then custom styles. Text size, let's make it a little bit bigger. And the button text color is already good. Button background color, just want to make this sort of a translucent-ish dark gray. So I'm going to go with a dark gray, and then I'm going to drive the translucent slider here till it's a little bit translucent, but you can still see it. I'm going to get rid of the border altogether. So just go over here to the border width and just make that 0. Takes that out of there. And now if you want to adjust the curve that you have on the corner of the button, you can scroll down here to the border radius. And as you can see there, it's making it sort of more rounded or less rounded. And go with the default, which is 2 there. Something like that. There we go. And just for fun, let's make the text design, let's make the text italicized. There we go. All right, and now below this, I'm going to add a couple of arrows. We're going to use the Divi blurb module for that because it already has access to a bunch of different icons. So you can just type in blurb. And then we're not going to use any text because I just want the image. We're going to use an icon. I'm going to use the double down arrow right here. And then the only thing I really want to do with this is make it white. And now for this button and for this icon here, I want them both to link down to the next section. So under content here, I'm going to change the link and I'm going to make it hash our music because I already know the next section I'm going to call our music. And this is how we link it down to the next section. I'll show you how to set that up. Let me just make sure I do that with the button here too. Just change the link to hash our music. Okay, so now let's make this a full height section, and you can vary this up. You can have it either be full height, half height, 3/4 height, whatever you want, and I'll show you how to set that up. So we're gonna go over here to the settings for this section, and then we're gonna go over to advanced. Now we do need to use a little bit of code here. It's really pretty simple, and one thing I wanna make really clear is I am not a code genius. I just look stuff up and I figure it out. So I'll show you where I learned about this code, and I don't remember this stuff usually. I always just have to look it up when I want to use it, and that's how I sort of get around some of the things that Divi might not offer natively. It's still pretty easy to do by just pasting in the code right in these code sections. So for this, the code's really simple here. It's just height, and then colon, and then 100 VH. And you want to make sure it's in the main element section. If you do it before or after, it's not going to work. And then you need to put a semicolon at the end of it, and now that's going to make this section take up the full height here. And then to get this awesome band logo a little bit closer down to the middle, so one option would be you could just drag it in like this, but I want to be a little bit more precise and make it a little bit more flexible for different devices. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the settings here, and then under design spacing, I'm going to change this padding here to 10%. Let's make it 15%. 15%, there we go. And then the bottom, don't really need any, so I'm just going to leave that alone. One thing I already know from doing testing is that you need to have different spacing for mobile devices and tablets. And so to do that, you just need to click on the little phone icon over here, and then you can set up the different padding for the different devices. So let's make this 20 for tablets, just to get it down a little bit farther. And then for smartphones, let's make it 30. And then you want to just keep testing this and make sure that it looks right and works right. And you might want to change, like for example, the text size here on this button, and you can do that exactly the same way just by using the little phone icon. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on the next section down here. So we're going to do plus to add a new section, regular section. I'm going to start out with a single row. And the first thing is going to be, actually the first thing I like to do is just put in my background image. What I want to have is I want to have a gradient. Divi has a built-in gradient feature. I'm going to show you how that works, but I actually want to do a slightly different designed gradient feature. So let's go ahead and content, background, and then this little button here allows you to create a gradient theme. You can just do gradient plus, you can select a color, You can see here I've already got my color palette in here already. So I'm gonna go with dark purple to black. Actually, I want to go the other way around. Black to dark purple. Whoops. Black to dark purple. But what I want this gradient to do is I want it to go from black to purple to black again. And that's something that you can't do in Divi, but I'll show you a really easy way to get the code on how to do that. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So again, as I said, I am not a code genius, but I am pretty good at finding ways of figuring out how to do the code. So I found this cool gradient tool right here. It's a gradient generator. And so you just pick your colors. So on the outsides here, and you've got all sorts of different settings here. We got orientation, you can show the size. The size just gives you an idea, so you can see an idea of a preview of what it's going to look like. And then you can move these sliders around and all sorts of things, and you've got all these custom designs that you can do. I sort of already like the default design, so I'm gonna go with that. So I'm gonna start here by making this color black. And then we're gonna do the same on the outside here, and the code for black is 0. And then the middle, I want to be the purple from my color palette. So I've got my color palette here, so I'm just gonna copy this color over here. All right, so I'm gonna make the first middle that color. Make the second middle that color also. Might need to adjust that as I bumped it over a little bit. There we go. And then you can sort of adjust these things. And I'm just gonna drag these in so that the black starts a little bit sooner. It might be a little bit hard to tell, but the black sort of, as you move these sliders in, it makes the purple section shorter and the black section bigger. And then I also already know, because I've already built this page, that I'm gonna slide these sliders down so they're a little bit more down towards the bottom of the section here. And then all you gotta do is just copy this code here, and then we're just gonna paste it into the background code here. So go back to the section settings, and then under advanced, custom CSS, and then main element, and then just paste that in. And I think I actually have to get rid of that background that I added here, so just click the trash icon. There we go. So now you can see that it's got that code that I entered in. Now, if as you're working on it, you see that the code doesn't quite match what you want, you'll see under the advanced section here, custom CSS, that you've got a link right here. Just highlight it right there, and that link links right back to that page, so you can sort of just adjust that settings without having to go back and enter everything back in again. So it's really convenient. Okay, so there we go, we've got that. Let's go ahead and start adding in our modules. Got a text module here. I'm gonna make this an H1 tag. And as you can see, the font is already defaulting to the default font that I set it up as, which is the rock salt font. I think I want this lowercase. All right, and then we'll go over here to design. We'll change the text color to light because we want it to be light. And then it's a header text, so we need to use the header text thing, set the alignment to center, and let's just change this size to someplace right around there. And then underneath this, just want to add a divider module just to give it sort of an underline. I'm gonna do show visibility yes. And then under design, we've got sizing, so we can change the divider weight or how thick it is. I'm gonna make it 3 pixels. And then the width, I want to bring it down a little bit, and then we want to center it. Let's bring it down something like that, like 50, 51%, something like that. So that's the percentage on either side that it's gonna be. Now, let's just clean up the spacing a little bit. So the margin and the spacing doesn't really do much on the divider, but on the text it does. So we're just gonna go over here to spacing. We're gonna make the margin on the bottom a little bit less, maybe let's just go with 5. Let's go with 10. So it's 10 pixels there. And there we go. For the next part, I'm gonna add some album covers that I've created, and I created those using a really cool tool, which is called Canva. It's a great way of getting design ideas and quickly designing graphic elements, because basically they give you a bunch of different layouts for all sorts of different kinds of formats, and then you can just enter in your own text, modify it, add the images that you want. It's really easy. I really love using it because it makes it look like I'm really good at designing when actually I'm just really good at finding cheats and hacks. Okay, so for this next section, I know I've got 4 music files and 4 album covers that I want to use. This is one of the things with Divi is that I really love the fact that you can see what you're doing as you're doing it, but sometimes these little bubble modules like this one here gets like right on top of the other one. Usually for me what works is sort of just fidgeting with it until it gets there, or you can always click on this 3-dot icon here and then use the wireframe view, and then you can just add a new section. This way it sort of alleviates all of that. And it's really easy to go back. You just click back here, and there you go. So these album covers I made are images, so just add an image module. Just gotta scroll back down here. And I've already uploaded them and optimized them. So the first one is this one here. And then let's go with the design, put a border on just like that. It's cool. And then I want these to be a little bit bigger. I want to kind of spread it out a little bit. So in the row sections here, I'm gonna go to the settings for the row section, go to design, and then sizing, and I'm gonna use custom width, set this to percent, and 80% is what I like, and that's kind of the default. Let's just go ahead and set that. So you can see it allowed this image to get a little bit bigger because it's got a little bit more space around it and sort of spread everything out. And now let's go ahead and add the player module below this. So we've got an audio player module, it's part of Divi. You can see it's defaulting here to the default color I have. We're gonna change that in just a minute, and we're actually gonna make it a little bit transparent just to add a nice element here. And you'd obviously wanna put in the actual title name and artist name, but just for this demo, I'm gonna do it like this. And then you need to put in an audio file so that the player shows up. So I've already got an audio file here. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and change the background of this. And I just wanna use dark gray color again. Let's go with, let's try black actually. And then I want to use the transparency slider to sort of make it slightly transparent so you can see. Let's make it a little bit lighter. No, let's go with black. And then use the transparency slider so you can kind of see some of the gradient behind there. And then let's add a border around it. And I'm going to put these two together so that it looks like they're one thing. And I'll show you how to do that right now. So I'm going to go here, we're going to go to border. I'm just going to add a white border. Bam, automatically happens. And then on the image module here, let's just change the spacing below it to 0. And there we go. Now it looks like it's all one piece, even though it's two. And then the one thing you might want to do, just to make this easier to read since it's kind of small font, is just in the design here, the title text, you might want to change the font to a more an easier font to read. That's sort of up to you there. And then since we have 4 of these, the easiest thing I find to do is to just copy them, drag them over, because that way it's going to retain all the settings that you set, the border, just all the different settings that you have. And then so I'm just going to do this real quick. Okay, now all we've got to do is just change the images so that it matches the other album covers that we've got. All right, there we go. So now I've got a cool section here where our band can show off some of the music that they've created. And obviously you'd want to change the tracks down here. Okay, let's go ahead and add in a section that's going to show off the events that are coming up for our band. I'm going to add a new section, add a single row here. And then again, I want to add in my background first. Just going to close that. Got section settings, and the background we're going to use for this, I've got a star background. A lot of these images I got from Unsplash. Unsplash is a great resource where you can find free images. I've also got a whole blog post on my website where I talk about different places you can get free images. So on this website, actually, got some of the free images from Unsplash, and then some of them I got from Pixabay. So those are some 2 good resources to add some great looking images that will help your website look better. All right, so for this, the background image I'm going to add is sort of the star background. And now you can see here I've got 2 different star background images, and it was a little bit hard to see because they're small thumbnails. But one I found was a little bit too bright, so in Photoshop I darkened it. Just go ahead and upload that. And then I'm gonna add in, there we go. So we're gonna add in a header for this section, and I'm gonna use basically the same font and the same divider here. So I'm just gonna copy these and drag them down. That's one of the great things about Divi is it makes it really easy if you've got something you've already done to just copy it and drag it down. And if you find it hard to drag it down using this method, you can always go back over here to the wireframe method, and it's a lot faster and easier to do it that way. But there we go. So let's go back to our desktop view here. There we go. That was nice and easy. And then got 3 different posters that I made, again using Canva, and I'm going to sort of highlight those as events that are coming up for our band. All right, there we go. And then down below this, I'm just going to add a little heading, and we're going to make it kind of fun by adding, we're going to use a blurb module, and we're just going to sort of animate these in too. So got the title. I'm just going to give it the title of the name of the poster, and we're going to deal with this here in a moment. And I also want to change this font, but we'll do that in just a moment here. And then for the content, I'm going to put in where these events are happening. Okay, so there we go. And then we want to use a icon here. So I'm going to use this up arrow icon. That's the color that I want it to be, but I want it to be on the left-hand side. So let's go ahead back here to design, image and icon placement left, and then let's do an icon font size so that we can make it bigger. Something like that. And then the header text, let's get a different font here, and let's make this a little bit bigger. Do a center alignment, and let's change the text color to our sort of hero color here. There we go. And let's change the regular text color to light so it's a little bit easier to read on that dark background. Let's change the body text size, make that a little bit bigger so it's a little bit easier to read also. And let's just change up the text. There's not this big space here. Sometimes you gotta push Shift and then Enter to get that spacing a little bit tighter like that. That's all I did was just push Shift and then Enter. And you know what, let's center this text here. Now you can center it here, or you can go to Design, Body Text, and then center it there. Either way works. All right, cool. And then I don't know if I talked about the animation on this. If you go over here to Design and then Animation, you can have the whole thing animate in just like this, or you can have the image icon animate in. So I'm gonna just have it just like that, so it just bounces in a little bit, just draws a little bit of attention to it. It's kind of fun. And then under this, I'm just gonna add a quick description of the event. Just gonna paste this in right here. Go, and we'll just change the text color to lights again so it's easy to read. And now I want this to line up underneath here. So what I'm gonna do in order to do that is gonna go over here to spacing, change the left spacing to 50, just like that. All right, and there we go. And then to add these to these other posters, I'm just gonna do what I've done before, which is just copy it, paste it, and then just change the text as it applies. I'm just gonna go ahead and do that now, and then just fast forward through this real quick. Okay, there we go. And then I'm just gonna add a button down below this in case there's another page here for a full calendar. So I'm just gonna put in a button, real simple, real easy. And then you can add the link to whatever page that you made. Just add that here under link, design, alignment, center. And let's just change the button text color to white. There we go. All right, cool. So the next section, I'm gonna highlight the next concert that's coming up. So I'm gonna have countdown timer to it. I'm going to show you guys how to add in a video background. So let's go ahead and work on that. Now the key here with a video background is you want to make the file as small as possible. You want it to be really small. So that means that your video is going to be a little bit blocky. It's not going to, you're not trying to make, you know, the best looking high quality like cinematic video resolution. It's not what's important. What's really important is sort of the idea of the video and making sure that it loads fast so that your viewers actually get a chance to see it. Okay, so let's go ahead and add that section in here. All right, so we're gonna create a new section for this. And one thing that you really need to keep in mind with backgrounds in general, but particularly video backgrounds, is that because Divi is a responsive theme, and what responsive means is that as you drag your website around back and forth, the width of the frame is going to change. So whatever's important in your video or whatever's important in your background or image really needs to be down in the middle, because your viewers might lose the edges of the video depending on which size window they open it up on or what size device they open it up on. Another thing is that video backgrounds don't tend to work on mobile devices. So that's something to keep in mind. If you have a mobile device, you probably want to provide just a still image background for mobile devices. Okay, so we've got just a standard row here, and again, I want to put in my background first so we can see it. So let's go ahead and do that. So here we're going to use background, and then we're going to use this little play button icon to add a video background. I've already uploaded this. Got a couple of different options here. I have an MP4 video, but there's a couple of other options. So let's go ahead and upload this. And now, so you can see here, we've got the video length is really short, it's just 15 seconds, and then the size is also really small. It's 971 kilobytes, so really small, so that it's gonna load fast and be able to play so that our viewers are gonna be able to see it. Go ahead and upload the video. There we go, and it lets you do a little preview of it if you want to. So we've got our video in here. Now let's go ahead and add in some text. Okay, and the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add in this. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add in this countdown module. So I'm just gonna set a date here and a time that sounds plausible. So go with Saturday the 9th, and then we'll make it something like that. There we go. We'll go back to the front end here, and just go ahead. One thing that I really like about working with the Divi theme is that on the Elegant Themes blog, they've got a lot of tips and tutorials on how to style and use their theme, and it gives you a lot of cool ideas. So one of the things that I found was a way of styling the countdown module, and so I'll link to that down below, and all you gotta do is just add in a little bit of code and it gives you a completely different style. So let's go ahead and check that out. First thing I'm gonna do though is just change a couple of things here on the design of this. Let's see here, where is it? Should be down here, background. Don't want any background color at all, so just click no. And then for the number text, I want to change that font here. And I found this font, Special Elite, that I like. There it is. So I thought that was kind of fun. Make it a little bit bigger here. And you know what, before we do anything else, make sure it's centered. I'm gonna give ourselves a little bit of space between this and the one above. Something like that. Okay, there we go. Now, so instead of having these colons in here, I want to have lines. That's what this tutorial I found on the Elegant Themes blog, which is going to show us how to do. So here's the blog post. Just scroll down here. They sort of explain everything, how to do it. But basically, all you got to do is just scroll down. There's a lot of other things they're talking about here. Scroll down, find this code here, and then just copy it and paste it in. So there's a couple of things that they're doing here. One is that we're gonna set this custom countdown 5 is gonna be what we're gonna call this section, or we're gonna change this we're gonna change the ID of this. So instead of putting it directly into this section, we're gonna actually put it into the entire page, custom CSS code. So I'm gonna just add in this CSS ID here. I'm gonna go back to that. Then we're going to copy the rest of this code here. I'm going to put this on the main page custom CSS. So to do that, you just scroll down here to the bottom, click on this, click on the little gear icon, click on advanced. Just go ahead and add this custom CSS in here. I'm going to copy this again there, since we've got that for this module. And then I'm going to change. Oh, actually, that should have worked. Oh, so we got to change the class. I put this in the wrong place. This is why I am not a coder. There we go. So put that in the class, don't put it in the ID. And then you can see here, it's completely changed the colons into lines. So that's really, really handy and kind of fun. And then just add a little bit more spacing below this. It's nice to have a little bit of extra space around the things we're working on. There we go. And then the final thing I want to do is just add a biography section. And I just remembered that I did forget to tell you how to link that button. Let's do that first. How to link this so that it comes down and links to this section here. So it's really easy. All you do is you go here to the gear icon for this top section, go to advanced, CSS ID classes, and you give this our music. And that's what the CSS ID for this is going to be. And then if we save it, we should be able to just click on this button. There we go, and you can see how it jumps down like that. And if we publish this page, and we exit the visual builder, and you click on the button, it's going to get kind of a smoother roll down. So you get that nice sort of smooth roll down there. So that's how you do that. Sorry, I should have mentioned that earlier. All right, so let's go back and let's do this last section where we're going to do a biography of our band. And fast forward through a little bit of this. So you already know how to add in titles and copy and drag things around. So I'm just going to do that real quick, and I'll just show you the exciting parts. Okay, so now one of the things I want to do is we've got this text section, but obviously it's really hard to read. Even if we made it light, it would be a little bit easier to read, but there's a lot of distracting aspects to the image that's behind it. So what I want to do is I want to make the background white just for around the text. So it's pretty easy to do. Just go to the settings on the text here. Okay, so I'm going to go here back to the content area and background. I'm going to make the background color white. And then we need to add some spacing around it so it doesn't look quite so bad. So we're going to add a custom padding, which is going to give us space around the text that's going to keep it white. It's going to do 3% all the way around. And this is something you might have to play with until you find exactly what you like. And I'm going to add a little bit of margin between the section above, so we've got some space between the biography and the section. So I'm going to add top margin of 10%, just like that. There we go. Okay, so in the next section, we're going to add this kind of cool effect where we're going to have the image of the artist, and then the text is going to sort of like overlay in front of it. And I think this is a really cool feature. It is definitely kind of an advanced coding feature. It shouldn't be too hard to do, but I have had some times where it doesn't work, and I don't really know why. Again, not a code expert, but 90% of the time it works. But if you find it frustrating, if it doesn't work, you might just want to try a different technique or a different visual way of doing this. Let's go ahead and dive in, and I'll show you how I did it on this page. All right, so to do this, we're going to add a new row because we need 4-column width here. And the first thing we're going to do is add an image module for the first section. Add a sort of biopic here. So I'm going to use this one here first. Image. I want the pictures to be a little bit bigger. The easiest way to do that is to make this row a little bit wider. So again, I'm going to use that 80% that I like to use. Let's go over here to Settings, Design, Sizing, Custom Width. Instead of pixels, use percent. Automatically, you can see the image gets bigger. Make this image stand out from the background. I'm going to use a border. Just going to turn the border on right there. Okay, so we're going to add in a text module here. Go ahead and paste in this text. Okay, so again, I want to have the background here be white. So go under Content, Background, Color, White. And then the spacing here is kind of what's going to allow this to be in front versus not in front. So if we go over to spacing, start out with custom padding to get some white space around this. So we're going to do 10% all the way around. And then the margin, we're going to make it 20% on top just to give us a little bit of space. Sort of move it down below the top of the image here. And on the left, we're going to use minus 60%. Now, key thing on this is that this works great on desktops. It doesn't work so good on mobile devices. So my recommendation is that you either make another section or another row that's designed just for mobile devices. I'll just quickly show you how you turn on and off a section for mobile versus desktop. Okay, so that's got us the effect that we want. It's going to be a little bit different on the other side. I'll show you sort of the official technique that we need to do, but first let me show you how you set up either this. I would actually do a whole new section for mobile just so you can really design it with mobile in mind. But what you do is you would make a new section, a duplicate section here, and then on this section here, click on the gear icon, you'd go to Advanced, and then Visibility, and then you disable it on phone and tablet, and that way it will only show up on desktop. And then you'd create a new section, maybe just copy this, change it around so that it looks good on phone and tablet, and then disable that on desktop. Okay, so back here, so we've got this sort of overlapped section here, and then let's do the other side. So on the other side, do a new text section. Let's put in that background color and all those other things. Okay, and then I'm gonna add the image first before we try to overlap it. And we're gonna definitely have to add in some custom code here. Might have to add this custom code in on the other side if it's not working for you, but I'll show you how to do that and where I found it. And let's just add the border around it so it's a little bit easier to see. There we go. Okay, so to start the overlap, we need to use that negative spacing feature again. So this time, I go over here, design, not sizing, spacing. Top margin, we're gonna bump it down again, 20%. And then this time the right, we're gonna do minus 60%. So now we've got the overlap, but it's going the wrong way. We've got the text behind when we want the text in front. So to make this work, what we need to do is add in some custom CSS. So we're gonna go ahead and paste this in here. So what we have here is we've got position relative. This is one of the functions that you need to have in order to make this work, is this position function. And then underneath that, we've got the Z index, and so that's the height. So 1 should work. I just put 100 because sometimes the 1 didn't work. And then we might want to also put in the Z index. If it's not working, you might also want to put the Z index on the other side and make it either -1 or 0, just make it a lower number for the image. So you go under Design, Advanced, Custom CSS, and then make this 1, just another number so that it goes down below. And now the best thing to do here is you want to just duplicate this entire row so you don't have to deal with all of those settings again, and then just paste in your information for your other band members. I'm just going to go ahead and do that right now. Just fast forward through it so you can see how that works. Okay, and there we go. So that's a pretty fun section. Let's just add a little bit of spacing around it, below it. You can either just drag it here, or you can go into the settings and maybe add a percentage if you'd like to do that. Whoops, I don't know what, I didn't mean to do this twice. Let's just delete that. Okay, there we go. Okay, well, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them down in the comments below. And if you have any suggestions for new videos, leave those in the comments below also. And for more tips, tricks on how to build your website as easily as possible, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and visit me at realwebsitehints.com. Thanks for watching.